You're from Virginia, right? I can tell. You're special. We are the future.
Since you've become a new multi-hyphenate, adding producer and studio head to everything you already had, has that changed the projects that you've picked? And if that was maybe one of your reasons for picking this one?
I think when I read this project, as a human, I connected to it. I felt like this film is the most timely film that we have for this year. When you talk about police brutality, when you talk about the emotional labor that Black women have to do every single day, and the burden that we carry on our backs to dismantle white supremacy, to dismantle systemic racism, we're talking about centuries of years of work that we have been doing. You can't talk about it without looking at the past. You can't talk about police without realizing that in the South during the Civil War, the policing started as slave patrol. You know, it was rooted inherently racist policies. You know what I'm saying? To harass, to kill, to destroy Black people just for existing, just for trying to be free. And when we scream and defund the police and abolish the police, that's because we know that system was built on racist policy, and it absolutely has to go. So that made me pick the project because there is a lot at stake. When people think things can't get worse, they absolutely will, and they can. What we do and what we don't do will determine our future. And I hope that white folks watch this film, and I hope that they have some more accountability. If you're doing the work, cool. If you are standing up and if you are fighting for dismantling racist policies that continue to kill us, that continue to oppress us, then great. If you're not, you have some work to do. It's not up to Black women to do it.
Going forward, as far as what you're looking to do next with your next chapters, what type of roles are you trying to see more often that maybe you haven't seen before?
I love the idea of telling radical and rebellious stories, you know, that center around women, center around Black women, center around, you know, my brothers and sisters and folks in the LGBTQI plus communities. I'm all for that representation on screen. You know, artful films as well. We've been reading a lot of scripts. We've been in constant conversations with a lot of amazing up and coming writers and novelists. So time will tell, and I'll know it. I'll know it when I feel it.
And I guess the biggest question is talk about casting Janelle and how she came onto the project.
You know, we weren't sure about who our Veronica Eden was going to be. We were big fans of Janelle as a musician, but we never considered such a big pop star as the lead in our movie because we didn't want the persona of the person to supersede that of the character in the movie. But when we saw Janelle sitting in the audience of, I think it was the Grammys, and she was looking stoically at the stage, and it appeared that she was trying to keep this bright, burning furnace deep within her from reaching the surface, but it was too bright. And that, for us, revealed that she was the Veronica Eden that we had been looking for.
We were blown away by how passionate and enthusiastic she was for the part. She felt like this was something that she needed to do, and you know, her and her team, the passion kind of matched ours, and so we knew it was a fit.
It was a good fit.
With this film, you guys have been a little cryptic with the marketing, so I feel folks don't necessarily know, but the one thing they can tell is it really blends a lot of horror and thriller elements. Like you can definitely take that from the trailer. And so I'm curious with you guys, were there any particular films that you drew inspiration from? Again, not to tell folks too much on the plot, but maybe something they could look to for what to expect.
Well, you know, we were really exhausted as filmmakers by recycled ideas and movies of sequels and continuations of the same story. So I think that we tried to create something wholly original and had our own way of doing it and approaching it, which for people that might be attracted to something that's sort of tried and true. That's not the expectation that they should have of Antebellum. Antebellum is a reimagining, a different way of telling this story. I will say that Gone with the Wind was a huge inspiration in that we thought that that movie was a horror film, and that so much, in fact, that we were obsessed with obtaining the lenses from that movie, and we got them and we shot Antebellum with the lenses from Gone with the Wind. We used the same weaponry that was used to misinform to correct the record. And for that, we are really grateful that we were able to get them.
What are we doing? What is the plan?
I don't want to tell folks too much about it other than to say it's a brilliant horror thriller. So I'm just curious if maybe you guys, besides this one, have your own favorite horror thrillers, because I think this movie really marries those two kind of beautifully.
To be honest, I didn't really grow up watching scary movies because I'm a little bitch. I was scared. I still am. Like, I can't even really watch things that are like, you know, not horror, that are just scary thoughts about, I don't know, like kidnapping. I'm like, someone's going to break in and kidnap me. So
I think for me, if we're talking just in the trilogy, because that's what I like to say, like this is the third installment of, you know.
Oh, you love that, don't you?
I do. So out of the two, I mean, obviously Antebellum, but from the two, I'd have to go with Get Out in regards to just, you know, how that made me feel. It was fresh, it was new, it was different. So I think usually the first time you see something that's unique in its own sense, you know, has a lasting impression. So that's what Get Out did for me. But I'm just like Kiersey, I'm not much of a horror person, because I think the one movie that spooked me to not seeing anything after that was the Blair Witch Project. That was the last thing I saw. And then I was like,
that's one of my ones too.
Yeah,
that one and the original Exorcist have me just upside down.
Yeah.
I still have not seen the original Exorcist for that exact reason. I'm a person that's literally paid to watch movies. So
no, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
No. The reason why this one really hits so hard is because of what all you guys did on screen, but especially Janelle, because she really put this movie on her back in a lot of ways, both with the Antebellum stuff and the modern day stuff. So I'm curious, what was it like for you guys working with her?
I mean, I think she's a brilliant leader, and I can't imagine. I felt so much love and support on set when we were, you know, in our scenes, from everyone, from our directors to our background artists. Everyone was so supportive, and I can't imagine, you know, having anyone else kind of in the front leading us, you know, in the direction that we were going, aside from Janelle and Chris and Gerard. It was a great team.
I mean, it was just magical. You know, I gotta say, the first time I read the script, when my team was like, "Oh, by the way, Janelle would playing the lead," that for me was just like the selling point, you know, because she's an icon living, you know, in my opinion. You know, we call them Renaissance man, but she's a Renaissance lady, you know. And so, yeah, just to be in her presence, man, and just to see her work ethic was really, you know, inspiring. So I'm very, very excited, like you said, to see what she's capable of doing, because we just started to see who Janelle really is when it comes to her range. So very, very exciting.
You're not like the others.
The one thing I will say is, especially with y'all's characters, not the lightest of subject matters. So it's not always a big fun. But how did you guys keep it light on set? I imagine that you guys found a way to maybe sort of move past that to still have a really jovial atmosphere.
Sometimes I don't think that it's necessary to have a lightness on set. I mean, it's necessary for when you're working for like 6 months on something, but this was such a short amount of time. You know, we really only had 6 to 8 weeks of trying to get, you know, everything done, that I feel like you have to kind of honor the energy that's taking place, you know, and I feel like there was less need to sort of pick it up, set it down, pick it up, set it down. I think the real catharsis of humor and just letting joy back in was when we were able to meet offset. You know, when the directors, and they're really adamant about having cast dinners, bringing us all together so that we can kind of just like live in a little bit of like finding our joy, finding our humor, finding who we were together, because we were about to become pretty you know, intense characters towards each other on set. And I really valued how they protected that energy so that, you know, if we did need to carry it, because that's a hard energy to set down. You really do have to kind of, it's like there's a marathon and you just have to keep at it, you know.
It was very day to day. It depended on the day. It depended on the scene. It depended on who you were working opposite. One thing we all had in abundance was a beautiful sense of safety and love and like understanding that we were all on course for a common goal, which we understood the gravitas of a movie like this, of a script like this first, and you know, what it did to each one of us viscerally. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, you know, it's really interesting because me and Tongayi, the moment we saw each other, we were laughing, joking. We went so deep quick because we understood that, you know, our characters had a history. Jasper and Eli in the film, just how they're so reactive of each other. That I was really, you know, I was so, you know, when we did come to doing very sort of powerful, disturbing scenes, I couldn't have asked for someone, a better sort of scene partner. And obviously Janelle as well. There are certain moments of Kiersey and, you know, it was an amazing sense of safety and you know, history, and that we wanted to do it justice. And obviously me and Jena, you know, we were playing these characters, but we had a great dialogue and we wanted to create and conform and construct these people. You know, we understood the responsibility, if that makes sense.
I wanted to ask you guys about working with Janelle, because I know in addition to everything else, I mean, she really puts this movie on her back, and I feel like it's such an incredible performance. So if you could both talk real quickly, and I'll start with you, Jack, about working with her.
She was wonderful. It was from day one, we sort of sat around, just the actors, in a little circle, and she said, nothing's off the table. This is a safe place. You know, go there. I want you to go there. We need you to go there. This is important. And from that day on, we felt so, you know, it was very lucky. And she does. She gives a tour de force. She was, you know, the spearhead, the person who drove this movie. I'm with her from the beginning. I'm, you know, pumping my fist in the air at the end. You know, she's, you know, the true embodiment of a superhero, of what a superhero should be, you know, not mythical and all the rest of it. She's truth.
Yeah, and even beyond that, I mean, I feel like something I witnessed that I'd never seen coming from a female actress leading a film before is just the amount of self-advocacy that she sort of demanded, not only of herself, but of others. Like she really, she knew her process well enough to respect it, to communicate it, to, you know, sort of, you know, respect. And then it also invited other people's self-advocacy of like, oh, great. Now we're like in a respectful space. Like I just think that she led with this language of consent and respect that really, you know, all the other actors on set benefited from. And I just felt like it was just like such beautiful leadership.
So I'm just curious if either of you have a favorite horror thriller besides Antebellum. And Gabby, I'll start with you.
Parasite. I'm reminded because I see it behind you, but Parasite is with me right now. Parasite's sitting on my lap. I cannot think of anything scary. Like when the woman was coming up the stairs in the home and she's cooking I freaked out watching Parasite. It is the greatest film I've seen in years, and it's horrifying.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And hilarious too, which is a strange thing to add to that.
I love the way they talk to each other. They'd be like, sis. Like, I love that. It felt like, oh, look at us holding hands, you know?
Yep.
It's incredible.
Lily?
I was just saying this, but the first horror film that I ever saw, and the one that will always stick with me the hardest, maybe because it was my first, was Alien. just the deep space, the aesthetic, the feeling of it, the alien, everything about it. Like I remember not being able to eat anything that looked like it could be like guts for like a year after that. I was like, I'm eating Pop-Tarts only. Even Pop-Tarts, the inside looks too much like guts.
This film, and you ladies are incredible in it, but in a lot of ways, obviously, it very much rests on the shoulders of Janelle Monae, and she's absolutely incredible in it. And so I'm just curious as to if you guys have, what it was like working with her, what it was like for y'all.
Janelle she's so sweet and so giving and warm, such a gracious woman, and has such integrity. I mean, she carries herself in such a beautiful way. It's just she's like a beautiful human being. When we worked together, she had just come off of 5 weeks of, filming all of the most dark things that a human being could possibly have to put themselves through. And despite that, she was still so warm and open. And I'm so grateful to her for everything that she gave this project, because it's so powerful because of how much she put herself through.
Yeah, she's like a warrior statue. Absolutely. Like, she is every bit that she is in the last 10 minutes of the film alone. That's who she is on set. That's who she is as a person. And yeah, after 5 weeks of all the slave shit, I think she was very excited to have Lily and I in restaurant scenes and hotel scenes. I think it was a nice reprieve for her. And for us, we had fun.
No, I mean, it's good that you mentioned that too, because that's actually my next question, which is, how did you guys sort of keep it light during all of this? Because I know this is not always the easiest subject matter, if you will.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And yet Gabby and I arrived and we hadn't had to experience any of the other things. I mean, we both read the script, of course, so we were aware in what context our scenes were landing, but we arrived and it was fun. It was full of, I think at that point, the cast and crew were all ready to have some fun. And Gabby is a powerhouse comedian. She is the most empathetic, just whip smart, has the like pee in your pants comedian. And we just had so much fun. It was a blast. I mean, it was a dream to play with her.
We did have a lot of fun. To be fair, New Orleans is dope, and they have drive-through daiquiri stores. So it's very hard to not be super fun there, okay?
We go tonight.
911, what is your emergency?